was full-time at Emory, I actually was at a beta site for Philips. And so we were always doing research. When diffusion came out for us in 1997, we could only get a B value because of the gradients of 997. We couldn't get G's, 1,000. And so I was just involved with a lot of, innovative abdominal as far as, we used to, for new techs, we used to just push the contrast in. It's like, okay, try to do, and we used butterfly needles. I'm not even.
Yeah. And back in the day, Emory was well known for its body imaging. They had some radiologists that were well known in the body. And I remember coming up in an early part of MR, Emory was the mecca for the Philips and body imaging and cardiac.
Body imaging was and cardiac actually were very big as far as Philips, and then Emory was pretty well known for that. So I was working there, and I was involved with a lot of functional research, spectroscopy, other types of research that we were involved in. And so Philips approached me and said, we'd like to look at offering you a job and having you do applications. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. I actually thought I would be with Emory until I retired, And so I talked to my father, and he said, Kristan, you've got a little bit left for your bachelor's. Finish out your degree. They will come back if they really want you. And so they did come back. And so then I was hired by them. But I will give people a little interview thing that my dad taught me. He said, research that company. The first thing I found out is that Philips is spelled with one L. I was like, oh my goodness, if I spelled the name of the company wrong,
right,
I'd be crazy. But he said research, because you need to know what you're buying into, what you're doing, and have questions to ask. I actually don't remember if I did, but I think it's a good tip. So I started in basic applications. So I'm in this big corporation. They're Dutch. And then they ask maybe a year later. I think I was only hired because I was on the job training. Truly, I think they hired me because I did have all the research. I'd done so much with runoffs. We used to use pencil marks. I think they were hiring that, and they hired a personality. I'm not sure if I have one,
You do.
But I was trainable. And
now,
so
to not go too far, how did you get into the research aspect?
Actually, all of us were required.
Oh, so like a rotation?
Yeah.
Because they did a lot. I mean, Emory, it's that facility. It's
cutting edge. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so
that's
like
awesome.
I said, that's what they were really known for. I always remembered that.
Yeah, and they're really back on the Richter scale as far as what they've been doing with a lot of. They're literally on the same block as the CDC. So I mean, literally, it's walking distance.
Let me give you an example. You ever heard of the Dixon technique?
Yeah.
Okay, Dixon technique. It's named by Dr. Tom Dixon. Tom Dixon.
He's from Emory.
Oh.
He's from Emory. The Dixon technique was born at Emory.
Wow. Nice.
Rod Pettigrew, Dr. Pettigrew, cardiac. He's at NIH now, but he started to a lot of the cardiac, and so I would work with him, and so we did these different, and also we made a ton of money doing research, and again I was very poor, and so we would sign up to do them. I mean, sometimes I did cadaver, just part of the heads, and I would do it for IACs, just different, coils and all different types of things. It was just something I was approached about. Right. And then also I was, I like to learn. And so I was inspired. So once I got to Philips, I did basic applications. Absolutely. And I read physics books every night. Because I only had that one course, and I got an 88. I didn't get an A. So I had a lot to learn. I know, slacker. And so I read a lot because I was very nervous, very young. Actually, at that time, the first time they offered me a job, I was 23. At that time, you had to be 25 to rent a car. Oh. But it's illegal to ask you your age. And so this is the truth, they hired me on my 25th birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And my next biggest promotion years later was on my birthday. So, yeah, it was 2 years ago. No. So then they said, do you want to specialize in spectroscopy or cardiac? And I said I would like to specialize in both. So I pushed myself. And they said, are you willing to do that? And I said, absolutely. You got hard work, you know.
Right.
Yeah. What'd you say? I've heard you say luck is when hard work meets opportunity.
Right.
And so that's what happened. And so I did both. And I spent a lot of time in Europe, in Eindhoven, which is where their headquarters are, and getting a lot of information from the people that were creating all of this. And then there's something within an organizational structure where if you really want to keep moving on and going up to these leadership teams or, whatever area you want to go into, you're really supposed to start looking for a new job, like around every 2 years.
Within the organization. Most big organizations are like that. They like to see you not stagnate.
Right.
If they see you in the same job for more than 3 or 4 years, they're thinking you're getting lazy, comfortable, and stagnant.
Well, unfortunately, some managers, I always treated my staff, and I'll get to the leadership management, I always treated the people that work for me as though I would work for them one day. And I do. Actually, they hire Bill and I to speak for Phillips.
Oh, that's funny.
So it's true.
Right.
No, they do.
Right.
And so I always treated them that way. But unfortunately, sometimes leadership or management, they have such a great person, they almost get stuck. Nobody puts baby in the corner, but great employee ends up in the corner because they don't want to lose them.
Right.
And so I think that can be a downfall a lot of times. But if I was fortunate enough, I applied and I got these different. So I became apps, then advanced apps, and then just specialized. Then I became something called Train the Trainer. I trained all the new employees that came in that were going to be doing apps.
Right.
Then I decided, okay, I'd like to go into management. And so I went into asset management. So, I'll let you tell them how we met when you get to, because this is how Bill and I met during this time. Mm-hmm. I started doing courses for Phillips in 1999.
Well, didn't you get your MBA at that same time?
Not at that time.
Well, see, I was wrong. I thought you had it.
I have one now.
Yeah, I know you have one.
But I did start doing courses for Phillips in 1999. And so I've been speaking for many, many years. It was just I only spoke for Phillips. So actually I spoke in England and Europe. I did those things. I was all over the place, but I was with a company. So that was kind of almost like a little bit of a pigeonhole. Mm-hmm. Occasionally I was asked to speak at other places, but I was always turned down by the company. And that's fine. That was the rules.
Right.
So, again, that's how I met Bill. But I wanted to start to go into management and push myself. So I went into asset management. Literally, I relocated up to Cleveland, Ohio from Atlanta, Georgia. It's very cold there, in case you didn't know. And it snows a good bit.
They have 11 months of winter and 1 month bad ice skating.
He's not even joking. I mean, no reason for a pedicure there. Let's just say it. It is. It's a different climate.
Right.
So anyway, I moved up there and I started doing the assets. Just, I don't know, do we need to buy more of these emulators, simulators, so on and so forth? Took care of that, and then I covered for leadership management anytime someone took time off. And again, that's when I met Bill, but he can go into that. And then I decided, I'm ready. I've been taking over for these managers. They decided to completely reorg and make every manager reapply for their job. This is when things really started changing corporate-wise.
Right.
So everybody reapplied. And I ended up getting one of the leadership roles. And I actually got a great one because I got all of North America. And I think I had 5 or 6 modalities. And so none of which I knew anything about other than MR. And so I'll watch my watch on.
Whack.
Did you catch it? I'll watch my watch on that thing. Okay. All right. I caught my own joke. Maybe it wasn't funny to you, but it should be. I'm joking.
I'm laughing on the inside.
On the inside. Wow. So, and then I learned about all these different modalities. I thought that was a fantastic experience. It really widened my horizons. And I think that it was very positive. But at some point, it just became having a lot of children. At that time, we had 5 kids in the house. And so it just became time. Nice,
yeah.
It's called pure stupidity. And so it was just time to make a change. And so then I went on to faculty at Emory. They hired me, and I led the bachelor's degree program there. Oh, I did get my MBA. And the reason I chose my MBA, that's when I was going from asset management to leadership management. The reason I got my MBA was because I was really thinking, just like Emory, when I was doing MR, I thought I was just going to retire with Phillips and be there forever. I'm not a company jumper. I'm just not. And so, but then it was too much. There was too much going on in our house. So took the job when we moved back to Atlanta. Different climate. It was good. And I led the bachelor's degree for MR there for 3 years. And, that worked out really well. And I also took a scanning position again at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta because I wanted to get back in with some patient care.
Right.
And so I met Bill. Again. So you're going to go through that part. Yeah. That's great. And I just think that our paths are completely different.
Right.
And I think that we both learned from each other because we do have such different backgrounds. Because I'll say, well, I wouldn't handle that because I'll start using some of the MBA stuff. And then we'll say, well, based upon this, this. And I learn so much from him every day. I'm not going to kiss up at all, but, but I think we both complement each other as far as our career backgrounds.
Right.
So that's about it for me.
That's pretty great. Because what do you think is like your defining moment? Because you said you like to learn, but is it like, just working at a place like Emory is where it kind of started? Like you always kind of pushed yourself and like to kind of be a little bit better, and just kind of took off?
Do you know where it started? And you may not know this either. I started doing pageants when I was young, and I don't like to lose anything.
Competitive.
I played tennis in college for 2 years. I don't like to lose.
Right.
And I was seed 6. Okay, I wasn't 5. I was 5 one time, but I was out there playing. I mean,
Right.
I would say that I am a little bit competitive. My heart rate did just go up a little bit. And so I've pushed myself, I'll stay that extra hour. I'll get up 2 hours early when I used to have to work out constantly and be ready for that stuff. And I'm embarrassed to say that I was in pageants, but I was. And so, I've just always pushed myself in that way.
Oh, nice. So. All right. Did you do a lot of extra outside of, work and things like listen to podcasts or?
Yeah, absolutely. Bill and I, we are constantly seeking out answers and correct things. We have something called a $2 bet. It has to be a crisp $2. I mean, people say, well, I'll bet you $1 million. They never pay you.
Right.
Oh, no. In our game, you pay. And it's got to be a crisp $2 bill.
Because that requires a trip to the bank.
Right.
Yeah, but $2 bills are really neat because you can, when you give somebody a tip, the $2 bill, it's like really interesting. First I look at it like, is this fake? No, they really do make them.
Right.
But the banks, you'll have them, but it's just kind of an interesting thing to keep in your wallet.
There's one doctor from the East Coast, a big institution, that said he finally just stopped by the bank. He's like, and Kristan, I don't go to the bank, and I just got a wad of $2 bills. And so
he got time to lose it.
No, he has to pay me.
Yeah,
because I win.
Right.
So that's one of our little games that we play as far as educating ourselves and pushing ourselves. So I think it's important. I think Bill is even more driven than I am.